is the Two Marketeers podcast, where hosts and marketing experts Patrick and Lindsay Waugh seek to uncover what makes brands so powerful in how they impact modern society and culture.
Two Marketeers. They've got a podcast. The Two Marketeers podcast.
Hello.
Hey.
Do we need to count down? We didn't have the clap.
3, 2, 1. I just realized you opened with, we didn't have the clap.
It's probably good, right?
Yeah, I think we stick with that. Count your blessings.
Probably good. Every day. Gratitude. Oh my God. Hi, Sean.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marketeers. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm actually just really happy today.
Oh, why?
I think because today we want to talk about brands. Pretty broad topic.
And that's fun.
Isn't that what our whole podcast is about? Fascinating.
It's supposed to be, but we go on a tangent.
Yes. And today I expect nothing different.
That's true.
Lindsay, let me start with a question.
Oh, no.
Why do you buy brands?
Well, it's a complicated topic.
Yeah, it's 5 seasons in.
This is a complicated world. I mean, I think I buy brands for a multitude of different reasons, many different reasons.
Okay.
And I suppose when it comes down to it, like brand names or branded things play into your personality and who you are. And I mean, someone who comes from wanting to be originally like in a fashion background, I think brands and what you wear and what you buy and what you have around you and the things that you showcase to others, just like they say a lot of things about you. So I suppose I buy brands to say different things about myself.
And when you say you buy brands for a multitude of reasons, what would be other reasons?
Other reasons than saying things about myself?
Yeah.
So I think buy certain brands for like personal fulfillment.
Okay.
So there are certain brands that I hold on a pedestal that I would say are inspiring to me or create things that I desire to have at some point in my life as like an indicator of success or aspirational things.
Right.
I think I also buy brands in certain scenarios to say something to myself. Like you've done it, you made it, you did a goal, you deserve this thing, you've gotten to this level, you've like something like that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. You're saying something to yourself. And I think that's interesting, where the first reason being, when you think of brands, there's the aspect that they say something about you.
I think all brands say something about you. Yes.
Right. And whether you want those things to be noticed is different.
That's right.
So there's this whole sort of inner thing is there's your own control of why you buy brands and what you control about what that brand fulfills. We started this conversation, and it's ever since we started it earlier this week, where you think of luxury as the perfect example of, what's happening with luxury brands. And like you said, it's such an aspirational thing. As much as you think it's the badge, I remember when I started working in beer, they would classify, and beer is a great industry to work for, to learn about branding and marketing, trust me. And they would refer to, I worked first for Molson, but I worked within Labatt. And looking at their whole portfolio of brands, they had something they called badge brands. And badge brands were the ones that you wore with pride, right?
Right.
Then they had something called value brands, which were the brands you drank in the basement.
Or like maybe poured into a glass so people don't know what brand it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I always have my stealth.
As I was saying that, I was like, no, you're not pouring a 50 into a glass. I don't know.
Ooh, 50. No, I'm pouring ultra in a glass. I'm not gonna lie. But it's just, yeah, it's really interesting how when you start to really go deep, there's this inside thing from us. And I think what's really interesting is when a brand understands who it is trying to attract. Again, I learned this in beer. It needs to also understand the occasion within which that consumer is in, right? So exactly to your point, to say, look, I may not have a lot of money, or I may not like to spend a lot of money. There's the affordability concept. So when I'm out and I want to treat myself, I'll buy a Stella, comes in the chalice, it's a, what a great brand as an example.
Yeah.
They have their chalice, they have their
ritual,
their ritual, the pouring ritual, all that stuff. And it's really premium. But also when I'm filling my fridge, because I just want a beer throughout the week, it's not even a money thing. I may want to buy ultra, right?
Well, what's even funny about that now is the idea of value brands as a badge of honor, which was like,
right.
Like No Frills as an example,
right?
Or like hipster craft beer, like whatever it is, or Pabst Blue Ribbon, where, even value brands say something about you and it's not always negative.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're so right. And you think about it is about what you're proud about in certain contexts.
That's right.
As much as you may like those aspirational brands, and they're how you actually reward yourself more so than even there's nothing to say outwardly. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone else. So a lot of times, especially with high-end brands, the brand itself is something you're not necessarily displaying.
With a high-end brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, a really high-end brand.
Like a Birkin?
Yeah. I mean, the silhouette of a Birkin is a branded experience. But I feel like this idea, which is a huge trend now, this idea of quiet luxury.
Ooh.
Where you may have a Celine bag, but it's unbranded and it costs you $15,000 and people don't even know what it is. And you don't care.
It's for no one but you.
You don't care. Yeah. Or is the fact that it's clearly beautiful, but unbranded, a luxury statement in itself?
Whoa, that's like psychology. Yeah. Thanks for
Did your mind just explode? I mean, it depends on, I think it's really interesting to think about like identity and what brands do to fulfill your identity, because there's so many. For me, the pride and the way it contributes to my identity is in the high-low. So I think it's very cool to have like a stylish Walmart cabinet below a painting that's worth a bunch of money, worth a bunch of money, and they both it's style. I think it's style and taste that kind of rises above sometimes luxury and brands to be like, this looks amazing. Did you know that cabinet was actually $300, but this painting is something I have a lot of pride in. So it's just like it's a really interesting thing in the way that value and luxury brands both contribute to your identity in different ways.
True. It's like that curation kind of idea.
Yes. Because it comes down to style. Like I think taste is something I have a lot of pride in, not necessarily the monetary value of every item that I purchase.
No, it's the sum value of its parts, right? It's about how you spend your money, and how you spend your money says something about you to no one more so than yourself. It's very validating, isn't it?
Yeah. Which is interesting because also we were talking about how this evolves so much over time. So from our last, well, it wouldn't have been the last one we just published at this time, but we published an episode not long ago called Sales versus Marketing. And we were creating some content around like whose job is it to like own and know the customer the most, sales or marketing. And we're talking about how really it's at the heart of everything and it's at the heart of everyone's job. But it's not like a one and done thing. It's everyone's job to be obsessed with the evolving behaviors and preferences of the consumer because they change so much over time. So the way that I think about brands now in my 40s and how they contribute to my identity is so much different than even 5 years ago, but most definitely 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question too, because what really has stuck out to me is, you know, going back to what I always talk about is brand is the human expression of a business. And I look at as you age, mostly me in my about to enter my late 50s, I hate to say. No, I don't.
Impossible.
I see a real parallel because, and it really, for me, it validated something that I forget about the personal validation. It validated something that I believed for a long time, but by kind of challenging it to looking at it through my own lens, not as a brand expert, but as a consumer who buys brands, it's so much like the friends or people I choose around me.
Mm.
And as I age, there are less and less of them. Not because they're dying, not yet. But because...
I shouldn't laugh. That's not funny. Sorry.
That is. That is. No, they're not dying. If they were, that would be awesome. Is because I seek fulfillment. I seek more fulfillment in fewer things. I seek more fulfillment in fewer people. And I see almost like an inverse of like, let's start where like branding, well, although it gets younger and younger, but like high school is really, I think, where I started to really be like, ooh, yeah, did you have the polo horse on your shirt? And those sort of things. And spending or asking my mom to spend ungodly amounts of money on something she would have spent a fraction on in the past. But when she knew how it made me feel, when she saw the confidence it gave me. So at that young age, you're just trying to connect. You're just trying to fit in. And brands are so much about, like you said, more aspirational, who you want to be and how you want to be seen.
Yes.
And of course that evolves. Your identity changes. And we think it's like, oh, because you're so in control of your identity. Actually, as you get older, you realize people are going to think what they're going to think. So what is important to me? What is important to the people around me? And, you know, that could be parents, that could be siblings, that could be friends, that could be coworkers, that could be clients. And when I look at all that, because I started going like, okay, so top brands, Apple #1, Starbucks probably #2, Lululemon #3. And what was really what was sort of like, what do they mean to me? It's irrelevant. They just make it easy for me to make decisions I have to make every day.
Interesting.
What coffee am I going to buy? What technology am I going to use today? What music am I going to download? You know, oh, these pants, I've worn them for 10 years. They're still fine. Maybe I should look at some more pants. But no, they're not. They're Lulu. They last forever.
Yeah.
It's this idea of like, why do we need brands? And I feel like it's flipped. From, you know, we see brands and brands position themselves as like, how do we be appealing? How do we make these people be who they wish they could be? What about the part of brands that 20 years from now, that brand understands that I trust not only the product, I trust the experience, I trust the people, everything we say. Brands make my life easier. Because purchase decisions, we were in a meeting this last week, Lindsay and I, and they were talking about something like, what is it? We see 12,000 messages a day, the average consumer, right? Yeah. And I look at around me and I see a lot of people struggling to make decisions. I find that our human ability to make decisions is arguably over-informed.
Yeah.
Right? Used to be like, going out for dinner, great. There's these 2 restaurants in our neighborhood. That's all we knew. Oh, we're going to watch something? Great. What's on the TV guide? It's Tuesday night. What do we watch? Decisions weren't as tricky. We get, what is it? Everything, everywhere, all at once. Like, I totally get it.
It's like analysis paralysis, basically. Like there's so much information at our fingertips to analyze now that it freezes us. And when it provides like an inability to choose.
And think of the angst, the unconscious angst, because we're not even aware that we're not making decisions. Mm. Going on a trip, and I can't make a decision to save my life if I start searching. Because what it starts doing is, so everything, I go on Airbnb, I only do top rated, I only do this, I only do that. And what they say with this sort of, what I've read is they call it decision paralysis. Same thing, it's not as deep as what you're talking about. Really, it's our brain trying to analyze data to formulate a decision. And we can't, we get paralyzed because we have too much information. And just on the Airbnb thing was, I put so much time picking the perfect place. And actually that place was a disappointment. It wasn't terrible. I wasn't going to give it a bad rating, but I was just sort of like, well, what did I expect?
Yeah.
And you know what? We expect a freaking lot. In the world where what's possible, I'm going away with my buddies and we're going to have 3 great days and I want the most amazing, we're going skiing and I want a chalet. And then you realize, but wait a minute, we're skiing most of the time. And then we're going out for dinner. Yet I picked a place that has 5 bedrooms, luxury, this, that, and the other. And when I get there, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Because it's not perfect, but also because I'm almost angry at myself going like, why did I make this so important? This is so unimportant in the grand scheme of things. We could be staying in a tent and arguably have more fun. So it's this anticipation.
Yeah.
That's why I have very few brands that I trust. And I don't think a conscious thought. I want coffee, it's Starbucks. I need new technology, it's Apple. I need new pants. I need new clothes, Lulu.
Yeah.
Indisputable to me.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Has the affinity for those large trusted brands specifically changed at all for you lately, given the current state of North American politics?
Well, that's it for part 1, folks. Join us next episode when Sean answers Lindsay's political question. Have a great week, marketeers. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Two Marketeers podcast. New episodes launch every 2 weeks.
Find the Two Marketeers podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you like to listen. And be sure to rate and subscribe.
Listen on our website, thetwomarketeers.ca, or you can ask Alexa to play the Two Marketeers podcast.
Want to keep in touch? Follow the Two Marketeers on LinkedIn or at Two Marketeers on TikTok. We've always got something to share.
This podcast is over.